Hello, and welcome to episode 39 of What's Tom Reading. I'm Tom, and today we're going to be talking about the highly interesting and motivating book, Do the Work, by author Steven Pressfield, and we're also going to be catching up. We've got a lot of explaining to do. Stay tuned. All right, so here we are. Been too long. I missed you guys. I mean, I don't have an excuse. I know I always say that. My upload schedule has been so sporadic over the last little while. I promise you though, it's not for nothing. I haven't just been I haven't forgot about you guys. I haven't intended to neglect this podcast. I've just been insanely, I mean crazy busy. So since we last talked, I graduated from law school and business school. So there's that. Yeah, I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back for that. Yeah, that's right. That was quite difficult. I will say, in retrospect, looking back, law school is hard. It turns out that law school is difficult. Since then, I've been doing some work, mostly business consulting. It's been, people ask me a lot, what do you do with the JD MBA? And for those of you who are maybe thinking about it out there or have been curious about it, the MBA doesn't add a whole ton to the JD. I've found. You might find differently. Nothing I say is a universal law or anything like that. But in my experience, the MBA doesn't add a whole bunch to the JD. A lot of people, even my professors at the law school, when I said, "Hey, I'm going to go get an MBA as well," they were like, "Why? What can they teach you over there that we can't teach you here?" Which is that's such a lawyery way to look at the world. Like, we know everything, so why would you go anywhere else? Turns out the business school did teach me more. In fact, I would say, if gun to my head, if I had to choose just one of the degrees to get, I would get the MBA from my particular program. I know that there are some discrepancies there, but from my particular school, the MBA was a higher quality than the law degree, and the law degree was exceptional. But the MBA was it was everything to me. I can't say enough thanks to all the professors, to all my colleagues, to all of the administrators. I mean, everyone just had my back at the business school, and nobody did at the law school. Really, they were kind of churning me through. I don't think I had any mentors or friends at the law school, really. So I did make some good friends who are lawyers who are colleagues of mine at the law school, and I love them. They're great people. But the business school was just on a completely different tier for that. My own education and enrichment was highly catered to there. So and I went to BYU, for those of you who don't know that already. So I have a JD MBA, JD and an MBA from BYU. So back to my original point here. So the MBA doesn't add a whole ton to the JD, apparently. Law firms and stuff are like, okay, that's cool, I guess, that you have an MBA, fine. But on the MBA side of things, the business administration side, which, by the way, pays better for a fresh graduate, they look at the JD and they say, that is a huge value add for us. You're going to be able to do so many things, human resources and conflict resolution and any number of different legal things that are small or growing company is going to need, and small startups and growth stage companies just need so much legal work. So I've been kind of occupying that space. I haven't taken the bar yet. I've been kind of occupying that like sort of consulting space there, where I've got a lot of clients that I met through the business school that are they need some help with some advice on setting things up. I'm not doing legal work, but I am kind of, pointing them in the right direction, giving them referrals, giving them telling them what kind of lawyers they do need, and that sort of thing. So I'm kind of bridging this gap between the business and the legal worlds right now. It's been a lot of fun. I'm getting it's been really, really rewarding work to be able to sort of bridge that gap, because they're especially entrepreneurs and lawyers, they're like sort of like oil and water, where lawyers are people who go to law school are, there's a stereotype, right? Like they're intelligent people who are extremely risk averse and conservative in their career choices. And that makes them pick the most conservative, risk averse degree option that's possible. And then on the MBA side, obviously there's some, institutional things you can do with an MBA, finance and accounting, like that, operations. But on the entrepreneurship side, which was where I was focused on the entrepreneurship emphasis, those people are like, they have a healthy appetite for risk. They are willing to try different things. They're willing to kind of not flout the rules, but buck them a little bit and try to get around them. And entrepreneurship makes the law run to catch up with them. And the dynamic between entrepreneurs and their lawyers can sometimes be a little bit strained, where the lawyer's like, stop doing that, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And the entrepreneur's like, I'm changing the world here. So it's been really fun for me to be able to sort of be that in between, that bridge that gap, and be able to speak both languages. Say let's figure out how you can change the world without getting into trouble, but we're not going to be so risk averse that we fail to move at all. So that's sort of the space that I'm occupying right now professionally. My latest book is out. I think I mentioned it in a previous podcast. I'm not sure whether I did or not. So here's a copy of it. Cold Start. I'm not sure if that's turning up right or if it's inverted on the camera or not, but Cold Start, my book, the step-by-step guide to starting your own business. It's been doing really well. It's selling. It's I don't know what else to say other than, the audiobook just dropped on it. That's the other reason why these podcasts have been pretty thin on the ground, is I've been recording an audiobook, and that is hours and hours of recording and editing. And with the podcast, I get to have a more conversational tone, where it's like I'm talking to, you're not here, but I assume that you're here. And the way that I do these podcasts is I'm like, okay, there's a person right behind that camera who I'm speaking directly to. Whereas with the audiobook, I have to read, and it has to be perfect. Every pause, every breath, everything. So there's just been a ton of recording and editing and just processing and going through Audible's hoops. They're pretty rigorous about their audio recording standards. Naturally, I mean, they're the big dogs. But anyways, so I'm published now on Kindle, and you can get it on paperback and hardcover on Amazon. It's doing really well there. And now I'm officially on Audible, and I'm starting to see sales on Audible too. So if you are interested, if you ever thought about starting your own business, maybe I'll put a little graphic up here to make sure that it's right so you can see it. But if you're interested in starting your own business, please feel free to look up the audiobook. I know that you listen to audio because you listen to podcasts. So maybe check out the audiobook there. Cold Start, the step-by-step guide to starting your own business, to starting your business. I forgot the title of my own book. That's great. Check it out, pick it up. Let me know what you think. I'm very interested in feedback on it. This has been sort of like a magnum opus for my, not magnum opus. I hope I do things much better than that. I'm too young to write my greatest hits album yet. So, but it's been sort of my thesis. And it's from a unique perspective. It's that perspective I was talking about, where like, yes, I have the legal training here, and yes, I have the MBA training here, and the entrepreneurship background and chops. That's sort of my family's background. And then melding the two together and just saying like, here's how you start that dream business. Here's how you get it off the ground. Here's like the basic things that you need to do to make sure that it doesn't fall flat on its face, for like paperwork reasons, stuff like that. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's exactly like a thriller. It's not a murder mystery or anything like that. It is just a really it's like bullet points of like how you do this. I try not to mess around. I try to make it entertaining and funny. I've heard good feedback on that it's worth reading for like entertainment value, but it's also just the information in it is I've been told it's very good. So, and I had professors work on it with me. I had attorneys. And so thank you to all those people who put in time to make sure that it doesn't suck. So yeah, check it out. The interesting thing for me, in recent days has been just making that transition from a different stage of life. So I was sort of running and gunning through law school. At the end there was, I had final exams, I had final papers, I had my substantial writing project. It's a large doctoral level piece of writing that has to be perfect. And so, and then recording this audiobook at the same time, writing this book. Oh my gosh. So I didn't start writing this book until midway through my last semester of school there, when a professor of mine at the business school was like, hey, we're really going to miss you when you're gone. And we've really leaned on you for like that's one of the coolest opportunities that I had at the business school, was that I was bringing this law school knowledge over, and so they were like, "Hey, go talk to Tom, go talk to him about starting your business," and I would be able to like, "Yeah, here's the things you need to know and do, and here's the paperwork you need and the contracts and yada yada." And so this professor of mine was like, "Hey, when you're gone, there's going to be kind of a gap where we're not going to be able to send people to you." So have you ever thought about writing a book? And then so we had our spring placement break, and I just locked myself in my office here, and I cranked that out. Cranked out the first draft in 7 or 8 days of no sleep, hard work, just getting all my thoughts out on paper. And then the editing process was ridiculously stringent. I again really want to thank everyone who helped participate in that and helped this book what it is. I always say that any mistakes in the manuscript are mine, and anything good that comes out of it belongs to credit belongs to the editors. So sorry, there's a fly there. Not dismissive. So for those of you who are watching the video, those of you who are just listening to the audio, you didn't see this dismissive gesture. I keep forgetting that. So we changed the format up a little bit. I am going to be releasing this on the audio only version, but there is also a YouTube channel called What's Tom Reading, where I will have the video footage here if you want to see my magnificent mug in 3D Technicolor and high definition. For those of you who are just tuning in on the audio podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's been lean coming from me lately. It's been really I've been really spotty. I'm looking at my upload history. I did one in March. I did one in February, 2 in February, and then one in November of last year. It's been terrible. I want to tell you guys that I'm going to be better at that. I intend to throughout all of this, throughout my graduation, throughout writing this book, throughout recording, editing the book, recording the audio, finishing up my doctoral thesis type thing, final exams in the business school. Throughout all of that, I have really worked hard to keep up on my reading, and I would say I'm just the smallest bit behind schedule right now for my 100 books for 2024, but barely. I'm like maybe four or five books behind schedule, so I'll have to like hustle a little bit to catch back up. But I've been trying. And one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about today, now that we're done with the catch up, I really wanted to talk about this book, Do the Work by Steven Pressfield. It is one of the books that I come back to over and over and over. It's very short. It's like, so if you listen to it on Audible, it's like, and I listen to it at like 2.5 times speed, something like that. I would recommend maybe 2 times speed. If you're a fast listener, you've got a quick processor there, then you can listen to it on 2 times speed the first time. I listened to it on 2.5 times speed because I've read it. This is my 4th time reading it this week. Not this week, but this week marked my 4th time reading it. And so I listened to it on 2.5 times speed, and it's really, really, once you know what the book is about and you aren't missing anything, then you can listen to it faster. And I take this book like a shot of adrenaline. It's like a shot of adrenaline in the arm for any project that you're working on, any roadblock that you've run into, any, it's just, I can't tell you how, beneficial this is to me. And rather than rambling about it, I guess we'll just talk about the book. So, Do the Work is all about overcoming the resistance, whatever it may be in your life. And resistance isn't always bad things that you have going on. A lot of times it's good things, right? Like a lot of times the resistance to you doing a project is there's something else you'd rather do with your time, or there's someone else who wants to spend time with you. There's any number of different reasons why you've been procrastinating and avoiding. And this book is all about overcoming your inclination. And I read this book every time I have a big project to do, or every time I'm having a hard time getting motivated for my next project. Because I'm one of those people that I always have a project on. I always have at least one going. Right now I have several, but the way that I kind of live my life is that I have, I have my day-to-day disciplines that I need to do, and that those are as simple as like shower, journal, worship, look out for my family, spend time, reach out to friends. I have a list. I have a to-do list of daily disciplines where I'm like, I'm going to be doing all of these things every single day, just to exist. That's my bare minimum standard. Contribute meaningfully to the upkeep of my home, make some money, contact clients, stuff like that. So I think everyone should have that, by the way. I think you should have a list of things that you need to do during a day for it to be considered a complete day. And you should put long-term hobby things on there as well. So one thing that I have, so I'll actually just read to you. This is a little personal, but I'll read my daily discipline list. The number one says, groom yourself, slob. So that means, make sure your beard is nappy, get the head shaved, brush the teeth, shower, all that stuff. Sometimes probably most of you don't need to be reminded for that, but sometimes I wake up and I just think I've got too much to do today. And then I just like start working and I haven't showered or shaved or brushed my teeth. And then it's like 2 PM and I haven't done any of those things, like, stinky and my breath is bad. And so, for me, I put it at the top of my list. You wake up, get out of bed, groom yourself. And then from there, I'm a man of faith. I believe in God. I have a religion. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, proudly so. And I worship daily. And that includes scripture study, prayer, meditation, pondering, all that sort of thing. And I do that every day. That's part of my ritual. I'm proud of that. And it does make me a better, happier, more fulfilled person. I recommend, even if you're not a religious person, I recommend at least including some meditation, some introspection, some thoughtful into your life. It just helps to center you on the big picture rather than just being like, I've got a million things to do today and I'm just gonna I'm just gonna hit the ground running and hope for the best. It really helps to kind of center yourself and get down to like, who am I? What am I here for? What's my long term? In my case, I believe eternal trajectory here, and am I hitting it? Do I need to be making course corrections here? And that will help to impact the whole rest of your day, really, and your life over time, right? Life is made up of days, and those individual steps lead those create a trajectory for life. My third one is journal. So I have to journal every day, and most days I do like a paragraph where I'm like, today I'm going to be doing this. Yesterday I did this. Here's the main things that are going on in my life. Maybe something about my kids, something about my wife, something about work. And then that's it. And then I say, okay, time to get back to work. And then I'm done. Oops, that's my mic. My fourth one is exercise. And as you can tell, I am just a machine built for eating food and turning it into man. And those of you who are watching the video know that. Those of you who listen to the podcast, I have heard that I have that I have fat guy energy on my podcast, whatever that means. So natural. I'm a big person. I've been hungry since the day I was born, and I like to turn food into me through that process. But if it gets out of control, then I will die from diabetes or heart disease pretty young. And I don't want that to happen. So I try to incorporate some exercise into my daily routine. A lot of times, my ideal exercise is going to the gym, lifting some weights. I hate cardio, obviously. I think most people with any sense hate cardio. Cardio should only be like to save your own life from a bear, I think, is what cardio is for, main purpose. But obviously the benefits are there, and even just getting up and walking around, being busy on your feet throughout the day is really helpful. If I spend an entire day sitting at my desk and working, by the time the nighttime comes, I feel pretty terrible. So I need to incorporate some up and around, even if it's just walking a mile or two. So I think you ought to do that. My fifth one is create something new. That is a core value of mine. I am a creative person. It doesn't have to be something it doesn't have to be something substantial. For example, today's create something new is this podcast that you're listening to. I'm going to check off my daily disciplines and say, yep, there we go. I created something new. A podcast episode that didn't exist and now it does exist. Hooray. It's a core value of mine to bring new things into the world. So that's on there. Number 6 for me, something musical. That's another core value of mine. I have been a musician. Some of my earliest memories are plinking around on the xylophone or the little tykes, like keyboard things, and just like plucking out little ditties. I love the sound of music. I love making music. And so every day, as part of my disciplines, I will practice something, play the guitar, play a little piano, write some music, even if it's on the computer, even if I'm doing like digital mixing through like Mixcraft or something like that. Something musical every day in my life. Gotta have it. Number 7, maintain existing projects. This one is something that for years and years I failed to do. I am the king of starting new projects and then putting them in a folder and forgetting them. So my rule for myself now is maintain the projects that you have on the go. And I have a list of projects right here, right in front, like literally in my eye line on my desk, a list of ongoing projects that I have to like give attention to every day. And seeing that list and seeing this daily discipline is like, I probably better not start any more projects until I see some of these through to completion, to fruition. And so some of them are short-term projects where I'm like, yep, once those are done, they come off my list. Some of them, like this podcast, are long-term projects where I'm like, I need to get another episode out soon. And so right now, I'm maintaining existing projects by just being here and doing this. Number 8, 1,000 words of nonfiction writing. So that would be something like this. It would be something like journalism, an op-ed for a newspaper. It would be something that short stories that I've submitted for publication. Oh, that would be in fiction, but let's see. Nonfiction, though, is more my journalistic, I guess. Right now I'm writing a book on the issues present in the American trucking. I know. Some of you are like, wow, Tom, that sounds like that would knock me out, put me to sleep for the rest of my life. Some of you maybe have some interest in that. When that project is complete, like I said, I do these sort of on a trickle system here. So doing at least 1,000 words a day on that project. I'm up to 22,000 words of my first draft on that. And, you'd be surprised at how quickly you will reach your milestones if you just kind of decide to do it every day. And then number 8 is 1,000 words nonfiction. Number 9 is 1,000 words fiction. I'm working on a book right now that I'm not going to tell you anything about because I am really excited to share, and that one's cooking along too. So expect more books coming from me here in the future. Those of you who have read my books, I really appreciate your support on that. I'm working all the time to get better at that craft, to really hone it in. It's something I want to do for the rest of my days. So I have 2 books in the works right now, 3 really. And I have 5 books that are on deck. So 2 that are in production, a 3rd one that's sort of like halfway in production, and then 5 more that are on deck, ready to get into the production line. And then every time I have an idea for a book, I just hurry and type out the premise, type out my notes, put it in a folder, and just forget about it and move on. I'll revisit that some other time if I'm out of ideas. But right now, I've gotta get cooking and focus on what I'm doing. My 10th one. So 8 is 1,000 words nonfiction. 9 is 1,000 words fiction. 10 is read for 1 hour. No matter what I do in a day, the 24 hours in a day that I have, one of them is dedicated to reading all the time, every day. One nice thing about Audible is that I can have my hour of reading in my ear while I'm doing the dishes or driving. It doesn't have to be like an hour of staring at pages. So that's nice. I can multitask with my reading. Audible has basically taken over my reading life. I do still read paperback books, but I've mostly converted to Audible now. I really prefer that. Number 11, reach out to a friend. That is just to go to talk to someone who I haven't talked to for a while. Just to remind myself that I've got to keep those connections strong and that I've got to be in touch with the people that I care about. Otherwise, those relationships will wither and fade. So that's number 11. Number 12, this one's a tough one for me. And this is why it's on my disciplines list. For some of you, this would not be included there. But it's reach out to someone new. I have a really... there's a lot of friction between me and wanting to get new people into my life. I like meeting new people. So I'm one of those weird people talk about being an introvert or an extrovert. I'm not sure that anyone's really either or. I would describe myself really as like a kind of a grouchy extrovert where like I'm perfectly confident and comfortable talking into the void, even to total strangers, with this podcast. I'm comfortable writing into the void with my books and things like that. I'm comfortable giving speeches in front of large groups of people. I do that with some regularity, actually. And that's not a flex. That's part of my religion, is that I end up speaking in front of congregations. And at school, I've had lots of opportunities to talk to classrooms full of people on presentations and things. Public speaking is no big deal for me. And I love meeting with friends. I love getting lunch with friends and clients and things like that. I really do. I really do feel like I get a lot out of the people around me, the people that I care about. But for some reason, there's a lot of friction for me in going and meeting new people that are outside of that circle. And I know that it's something that, if I, the business school and the law school have really facilitated my meeting of new people. But in real life, in the real world, you can really go a long time without meeting anybody new if you're not careful about it. So I try to reach out to someone new every single day in life. A lot of times that's through Facebook or LinkedIn, send a message like, hey, I heard your name from so-and-so. And I will solicit from friends like, hey, is there anyone who in your life who you think I should meet? Anyone that you think I would get along with? That's really kind of an awkward conversation to have, honestly, because like, why? What do you want to do with my friends? I'm like, no, I'm interested as a discipline in meeting new people. And some people are like, okay, go away. And some people are like, yeah, sure. I think you get along with this guy or whatever. And so I try to do that every day. Reach out to someone new. Number 13, touch base with 2 former clients. And that is, that's people that I've worked with before in a business context. I reach out to 2 of them every day that I'm not currently working for, to say, hey, how's it going? I hope things are going good for you. I want to hear how you're going on these things that we worked on together. See how things are doing. And sometimes they're like, yeah, I don't do that anymore. I've moved on to something else. Or sometimes they're like, yeah, it's cooking along great. I really, that's just for me. That's not for any business purpose. It's not as I'm trying to drum up business. They know who I am. If they want to reach out to me, then they can. That's just for me to kind of see, you drop a pebble in the pond, you want to see how far the ripples go. And so for me, that's just a way to say like, hey, how's that project we worked on together? How's that going? I get a lot out of that. And sometimes it does lead to like, oh yeah, actually I've been meaning to call you and let's get lunch and let's talk. And it's really, life is hectic for everyone. Everyone's really, we're running pretty fast in general as a society. And so like if you don't take time every day to do these things, then they just won't get done. Like you will be surprised. And like, I'm 32 now. And I am shocked at how fast the last 5 years have gone. And I've talked to people who are in their 50s and they're shocked at how fast the last 15 years have gone. I was 40 a minute ago and now I'm like 55, 56. So life speeds up and you get into these grooves and you get into these ramps. And your days start passing quickly and then your weeks start passing quickly, your months, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's summer again. Did we already have an entire year? I could have sworn it was just barely. Do we even have winter this year? And so, yeah, it can cruise along fast if you're not conscientious about spending your time. And that's one of the things that I've really tried to do with this daily disciplines thing. No, just to finish off, number 14 is update all current clients. That's a work thing. Everyone should do. By the way, you should have something on your daily disciplines list that has something to do with your job, your work. I just have update all current clients. That's something that I forget to do sometimes. I don't often forget the projects that I'm supposed to be doing, but I do sometimes forget to be like, oh, hey, here, just so you know, this is where I'm at with your project. So just a quick email or text or something, just be like, yep, here's the update. Here's the situation. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm still plugging away on this. And here's what I did today, sort of thing. It's a courtesy that goes a long way. And you should consider doing that. Consider adding that to your life, to the people, your supervisor or whoever you answer to, whoever's curious about your work product during the day. But just so you know, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. This long-term project you put me on, I didn't forget about it. I am working on it. So yeah, that sort of thing. And then number 15, the last one, is improve something. Yeah. Clean up, do the dishes. We have kind of an old house that has just a lot of stuff going wrong with it. And so, I have just a huge list of projects to do around here, and do one of them every day. So groom yourself, worship, journal, exercise, create something new, do something musical, maintain existing projects, 1,000 words nonfiction, 1,000 words fiction, read for an hour, reach out to a friend, reach out to someone new, touch base with former clients or 2 former clients, update all current clients, and improve something in the house. Those are my daily disciplines. I do those things every day without fail on a good day. Obviously, there are some days where you don't. Some days are crazy. But I try to do those every day before I do anything else, before I add anything else into my life. And coming back to this book, this Do the Work book, that's what it's all about. It's about prioritizing the things that you want to get done in the long term by just not shying away from them. You just have to muscle up, and you just have to do it. And it's hard for me to, it's a short enough book that I feel almost comfortable just saying, just go read it. Just go, whoever you are out there, just go read it. Get this book into your life. The audiobook is fantastic. It doesn't take very long to read it. So you just should. I am going to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to give you some quotes from it that I really like. But you just have to read it. So let me give you a quote. The opposite of fear is love. Love of the challenge, love of the work, the pure, joyous passion to take a shot at our dream and see if we can pull it off. Nice. Steven Pressfield is an author. He's a good author. And he has experience in trying to overcome some people. So when you're writing a book, which is the target audience of this book is people who are writing books, but it applies to everything in your life that you could think about doing. Everything, all of your grand visions, all of your dreams that you're procrastinating right now because you're like, oh, I can't because I have work obligations, family obligations, or I have, I'm just so tired, or, my favorite TV show is, got a new episode dropping today. Whatever excuse you have, whatever reason you have for not doing it, those are all types of resistance. And it's like I said, some resistance is bad. Some is like people saying, "Oh, you're trash. You'll never amount to anything." The standard things we think about with resistance. Some of it is just the good things in life. I have to work every day. I have to, I've got to go coach my kids' little league team. I've got to, I have all these obligations that I've signed up for. Those are all also resistance to your project getting though. And so you need to set aside special time for that project. You need to just say, no matter what happens, I'm going to get something on my project, something on my dreams done today. Because if not today, then probably not tomorrow. And if not today and not tomorrow, then probably never. And that's one of those things where you're like, people will say, well, in a future time, I won't be as busy. In another season of life, I won't be as busy. That's just not how it works. You just get busier. You get busier and busier until all of a sudden you're not busy at all, and then you die. I think that's the general trajectory of most people's lives, especially these days, where you can't really count on, certainly I don't count on my twilight years on this earth being filled with leisure and sitting around and playing cards. So, certainly there are some people who do have that in their lives, but I think the expectation for the average person these days is that you will have things to do right up probably until you're just straight up incapable of doing them. And that's something that I think about all the time. I'm investing in hobbies that I think I will be able to do as my body breaks down with old age. I hope I'll still be able to write. I hope I'll still be able to read. I hope I'll still be able to play the guitar. Eventually those things will go away as well. All things do. But and I'm not saying that athletic pursuits are not noble. Certainly they're very good and very healthy for you. But, I don't think I'll be playing basketball when I'm 80, but I could probably read books and play guitar when I'm 80. So those sorts of considerations are worth putting into your life right now. Okay. So, I'm not going to live forever. Do I actually want to accomplish this dream of mine? Do I actually want to write that book? Because if I do, I can't count on next year or the year after that. I can't count. And my wife is an incredible woman. And those of you who are watching the YouTube version of this can see the smile on my face as I think about my wife and how cool and tough. She is, she's hardcore. She's a black belt. She's got a master's degree. She's probably going to end up more than that. sometime in the future. Spoilers. But she's doing really, really good work. She's also a mother. She's pregnant with our sixth kid, our fifth daughter. We have one son, five daughters. We were kind of hoping for another boy, but you do. But she's pregnant right now. She's as I record this, she's taking the kids out to a birthday party with their other pals. Always on the go, always pushing. And a person like my wife has every excuse. She has every excuse to just say, I'm too busy for the dream. I'm too busy to work on my long-term projects because my short-term demands are so high that I could never find time. With her, there's kids pulling on her shirt and her skirts all day long. There's kids are crying, kids are hungry, kids are pushing for this. She's part of different clubs and civic organizations in our community that demand a lot of her time. She's part of our religious community that demands a good amount of her time. And so she's like, every hour that she has in the day is spoken for. And so in order for her to focus on those long-term dreams, she has to kind of carve by force some time in her day. And she does. And I think she's just incredible for that, because she, not only does she kill it every single day, but she is working towards her dreams and her visions for the future. And that's what it's all about. And so, for those of you out there, anyone who's hearing what I'm saying right now has a dream, they have a vision, they have something that they wish they could do. And the dream formula, right? For some dreams are just like, and I don't want to say this to be discouraging by any means, because I don't know you, but for me, some dreams would be foolish, right? For me to dream of being an astronaut at this stage of my life, like that ship has sailed. If I spend the next 5 years desperately trying to become an astronaut, I would never become. It's just not going to happen. I don't have the pedigree. I don't have the history. I'm 32 already. By the time I was qualified, I'd be way too old. There'd be way more people that are way more qualified than me. And so for me, I just say, well, not astronaut. That ship has sailed. Not doctor. I think if I had to save my own life, I think I could go through medical school. But at this stage in my life, it's not something that I should do. I'm never going to be prima ballerina, for example. I the right bone structure for that. I'm not elegant. I'm not talented. I'm not dexterous. I'm not flexible. So there are some dreams and visions that are just way outside of what I could ever reasonably do. But then there are some that I'm like, I do have some ability to write. I do have some talent there. It's rough cut, and some of the stuff that I've written, could be better. I'm already looking back at my first couple of books and thinking, that my standards have raised even since then. But I've got some talent, some ability, some follow through there, and it's something that I love. And so that's what you should look at for your dreams, for your long-term goals. I'm giving out advice here that you probably already know, or at least you can intuit. But you should say, my dreams are theoretically accessible to you, and be reasonable with yourself on it. Don't be harsh with yourself. Some of you are like, oh, I'll never be an author or a singer or something like that. But write, sing, see if you can, right? But I'll never be an astronaut. Probably not. Probably none of you will be astronauts. There's 10 astronauts, right? And they're all freaking incredible. So, just measure your dreams, but don't sell yourself short, right? It's kind of a fine line, I guess. But make sure it's something that's at least hypothetically accessible to you. It's something that you love, and then ideally as well, something that someone else will love. So that third one is optional. I know there are people out there who can just they will make things for themselves, and they don't care if anyone else ever sees it. And that's fine. If that's your thing, then that's fine. But for me, that third component there, just being able to put it out into the world and see it live on its own, see it work through people, see how people respond to it. That is part of the connection, part of the process. So for me, it's something that you can hypothetically obtain, something that you love doing, and then something that other people will love. And then if you want to do it as a career, it's something that other people will love and pay you for, right? That's the fourth toggle there if you're trying to do it for. So something that's valuable. So whatever your dream is, whether it's writing that book or whether you have, some other vision, starting a business, whatever it is that you have wanted to do your whole life, but you've been putting it off because of, I can't, I have these day-to-day obligations, whatever that is, I would strongly encourage you, pick up this book, do the work, and just start reading through it. It's beautiful. It's poetry. The song we're composing already exists in potential. Our work is to find it. I think that's great. A child has no trouble believing the unbelievable, nor does the genius or the madman. It's only you and I, with our big brains and tiny hearts, who doubt and overthink, hesitate. It's just really nice. At least twice a week, I pause in the rush of work and have a meeting with myself. If I were part of a team, I'd call a team meeting. I ask myself again, of the project, what is this dang thing about? Keep refining your understanding of the theme. Keep narrowing it down. It's great. Really, really awesome advice. No matter how great a writer, artist, or entrepreneur, he is immortal. He is fallible. He is not proof against resistance. He will drop the ball. He will crash. That's why they call it rewriting. So it's not just like get out there and hustle and grind. You can watch motivational YouTube videos on YouTube. I'm not knocking those, by the way. I watch them too sometimes. I mean, just like little extra, like to get going, a little extra, to to get the ball rolling in the morning. I'll put on one of those like motivational videos where it's like slow piano music, like bing, bing, bing. And then it's like some speech like, you can do it. You can crush the boxing and taekwondo Olympics swimming stuff, whatever they're talking about. It's just random clips usually of people saying motivate. I like those. But they're not really enough to get you through. Because once you do overcome the resistance and you get done with your first draft, that's when the actual, unfortunately, as hard as that is, that's when the actual work starts, and you do have to rewrite things. If you're in business, you're like, yes, I finally got my business off the ground. I got my first product launched. You click sell and you stare at your screen, and you stare at your screen and nobody buys it. Nobody looks at it. And, oh no, I made the best mousetrap in the world and people aren't beating a path to my door. Yeah, that sucks. That's the second round of resistance where you've done the work, you've made the thing, you put it out there, and echoes of silence, of nothing. Because it turns out the work has to be refined and continually pushed. And Steven Pressfield doesn't leave you hanging there. He does say that you're going to be doing some rewriting. You're going to be doing some, you're going to be going back to the drawing board. Even after you've finished the hard part, you're going to go back and redo some parts of it. But that's okay. That's part of it. That's really, that's part of it. He has a chapter called Stay Stupid, which I love. And there's let's see. Stay Stupid. The three dumbest guys I can think of: Charles Lindbergh, Steve Jobs, Winston Churchill. Why? Because any smart person who understood how impossibly arduous were the tasks they had set themselves would have pulled the plug before he even began. Ignorance and arrogance are the artists and entrepreneurs' indispensable allies. Ignorance and arrogance. She must be clueless enough to have no idea how difficult her enterprise is going to be, and cocky enough to believe she can pull it off anyway. That's right. That's right. You have to be clueless. I'm going to say that again. She must be clueless enough to have no idea how difficult her enterprise is going to be, and cocky enough to believe that she can pull it off anyway. How do we achieve this state of mind? By staying stupid, by not allowing ourselves to think. A child has no trouble believing the unbelievable, nor does the genius or the madman. It's only you and I, with our big brains and our tiny hearts, who doubt and overthink. Don't think. Act. I can't say it better than that. I just can't. It's beautiful. And these are some of the greatest pioneering people. Charles Lindbergh, famously transatlantic pilot early on in the history of flight. How crazy would that be? By the way, we take flight for granted right now. We really do. But Charles Lindbergh, for him to go up in a new invention and cross the Atlantic Ocean, which was a border between humanity, like different civilizations of humanity for thousands of years, an insurmountable border, for him to just fly across it. How crazy is that? I mean, if you put yourself back in people's shoes back then, this guy just got into a machine and just went over the ocean like a bird. And a lot of people were like, you're insane to do that. You will crash and die. And he could have very easily. In fact, many other great explorers did perish in the process. Amelia Earhart is a great example of, she was a fantastic female pilot who did several transatlantic crossings and then ultimately didn't make it on her last voyage. She's presumably somewhere down at the bottom of the ocean. I don't think they ever found her wreckage there. There's risk in this. And there was some, you look at the successes and you say, my dad is very fond of this saying that, like, if you pull it off, you're a hero and a genius. If you fail, you were stupid for trying. You can't have one without the other, people. Can't. And you just have to have that ignorance of how how bad it's going to be, because it's going to be bad. It's going to be tough. You're going to bleed a little bit on it. You have to have the arrogance to believe that no matter how bad it gets, I'm going to pull it off anyways. And I'm going to add a third thing that Steven Pressfield didn't add in this part here, but you just have to be willing to accept the consequences of failure, if and when. You have to be willing to accept the reputational harm that come along with it, because there's nothing that the cold and cowardly people who spend their days just kind of, they spend their days, well, actually, you know what? They don't even have to be cold and cowardly. They can just be regular people who spend their days, they punch in at 8 a.m., they punch out at 5 p.m., they watch their TV show at night, they eat their dinner, they, have a drink, go to bed. There's people who live their entire lives that way. Second. Going to add something on the fly here. There's people who live their entire lives in that manner, where they will look at someone who has tried and failed and thought, well, they deserve it. They had ideas about their station. They thought they were better than me for trying that. They thought they were better than all of us for trying something new, and they deserve to fail. And so you just have to, if you're gonna strive greatly, if you're going to really try and take it to the next level, if you're going to try and make something that doesn't exist yet, try and force through your creativity, through your blood and sweat and tears, something into this world that doesn't already exist. You're going to try and innovate. You're going to be a Steve Jobs. You're going to be a Churchill. You're going to be a Charles Lindbergh, like Steven Pressfield says. If you're going to be any number of these great and wonderful innovators and leaders and risk takers, there's every chance that you won't even be a footnote in history, that you will fail and that you will go down in flames and that people will laugh for that. That's one of the nasty things about human beings, is that there's that old saying that I'm co-opting this from a joke that I've heard severally about Russians or women, but I think it applies to humanity in general. And I'll tell it as a story rather than a joke. How's that as an anecdote? So a man dies. He was not a good man. He dies and he goes to hell. Satan shows him around and he says, okay, here's the pit that you're going to be spending the rest of eternity in. And the man looks down in the pit and he sees people screaming all the bad things of hell. And he says, well, why are there no guards around the rim of this pit? Can't we just climb out? And the devil looks at him and laughs and he says, ha! Anyone who tries to climb out gets pulled back down by the others. Nobody wants someone climbing higher. Nobody wants somebody above them. And so they'll pull them back. That is, I think, a true component of human nature, that people they don't want to see other people succeed. There's a small, vicious part of us that, especially someone who's been our rival or someone that we don't particularly like, we love to see them fall. I really, really try to not be that kind of a person, but I will admit, in a certain amount of Schadenfreude, right, that German word that basically means happiness at someone else's fortune, I will admit to having felt that before in my life, where there's someone that I just really don't like, something bad happens to them, something blows up in their face, and I go, ha, you get what you deserve, from my perspective. Just know that if you are the type of person who is striving, if you're the type of person that's going to be trying to do things different, trying to break the molds, trying to actually make make something new, leave a mark on this world, you will be stamping that mark into places that other people don't want to see it. And they will cheer for your downfall. Just part of it. I'm going to read, this is what I typed just now to bring up. I didn't intend to include this in this podcast, but because we're going there, I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to do this every time I get a chance to, because this, I think, is one of the best speeches ever given. This is Teddy Roosevelt's Man in the Arena speech. This is a classic. This is a classic one. If you haven't heard it already, I don't know where you've been, but I'm going to read it anyway, because in the context of what we're talking about, I think it's just gold. So, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Boom. I couldn't say it better than that either. Read this book. Well, I know it's been a long time since we've talked. I hope I still have trust and credibility with you guys. I will work to keep this podcast coming out more regularly. I've done a little bit of a longer one here, a little bit more of a free form one. We're catching up with each other. We're getting to know each other again. We're getting to know what this is about. And this is a short book, so it's been a short focus on the book. But whatever you're working on, whatever your dream is out there, if you're within the sound of my voice, I urge you, pick it up, try, get your daily disciplines locked in, do the same things every day so that you can be the kind of person who has the basics locked down so that you can focus on the dreams that you have. You know, you can't get better at something without measuring it. You can't improve on something without tracking it. So, do your daily disciplines, knock out your daily tasks, and then try and do those as efficiently and as correctly as possible so that you can peel off 2 or 3 hours of your day and use those to chase your dreams. It doesn't take a lot of time. If you can do 2 or 3 hours every day, that adds up in a hurry and you'll be there in no time. Or alternatively, don't, and you'll never be there. You can't count on next year. Can't count on 2 years from now. Can't count on doing that when you're older or after you've made your fortune. The future does not belong to you. That's one of the core tenets of Stoicism, is that no man owns his own future. So when death comes to us, doesn't take anything. It takes a day that didn't belong to us. The rest of those days. And depending on what you believe happens next, that could be it for you. Obviously, I believe that we continue to progress, but that doesn't mean that we should slack right now. Certainly, actually, it means that we should be striving extra hard right now. So when we can maintain that trajectory, we go into the but for those of you who believe that this is it, maybe act like it. Maybe take this seriously. Maybe just say like, okay, I'm not gonna keep punching in and doing this same job. And it's amazing to me. And I'm not knocking this, by the way. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone here, and I hope you don't feel that for me. But it's amazing to me how little it takes for an employer to keep employees just barely satisfied enough to keep coming in. Like they can. It's almost like they can sense when your dreams are starting to overcome your obligations, and they say, "Hey, here's $1.24 raise, $1.25." And you go, oh, okay, cool. And then you're back to just like flopping in and like, hey, maybe I can get another $1.25 raise in another year or something like that. I don't know. Again, I don't want to disrespect anyone who's on that treadmill. I totally understand that the bills have to be paid and that, you're not going to chase any dreams if you're hungry, or if you don't have a roof over your head. And so I get that. I 100% regret. I get that. I appreciate it. Everyone has to work to earn their daily bread. You should do that. You should do that the best of your abilities. You should also, groom yourself and worship and journal and exercise and all these other daily things. Reach out to your friends, read something, all that stuff that create your own list of daily disciplines and live by them. But also find the time to do something different, taste something different, to explore something. One of the things that I have on my projects list here, and I won't read them to you because it's not that I'm embarrassed about it, but I'm kind of embarrassed about it because I have a lot of ongoing projects right now, and some of them are being straight up neglected, including, by the way, this podcast, which I've been neglecting for way too long. Very happy to be back. And I'm moving this podcast up higher on my list of things that I need to be working on because I just realized that it was missing from my life. Something that I've genuinely missed is being able to talk about these great books and talk to you guys and connect and communicate with you. And so I'm moving that up on my list. But on my projects list here, I have a wild card right at the very bottom where it just says like, it says try the thing. Doesn't mean anything really, but it's like, hey, whatever kind of crazy idea pops into your head from time to time, maybe just take a minute and do some research on it. See if maybe that's something you could do. Lately, the try the thing for me has been starting a hobby farm. Those who know me personally will be like, oh no, Tom's going to get a bunch of chickens again. And it's going to be a disaster because it was the last time I got a bunch of chickens and it did not work out. Spoiler alert. I'm not much of a farmer, but I'm looking at that again and be like, I could farm. I could farm. I could put this little half acre of mine or third of an acre of mine to the plow and make it productive. Again, like I said, it's a little bit embarrassing to me, but it's one of those things where like, you know what? It's on the list because I might as well. Leave no stone unturned, leave no dream unchased. The life's too short. You will run out of time eventually, and if you never tried, then what's gonna be on your headstone? Diligent employee. I mean, come on. I'm not saying don't be a diligent employee. You should be a diligent employee, but I mean, let something else be said of you. Something that you strived for, something that you tried for, something that you did differently than other people. There's going to be lots of diligent employees that go down to the earth every day. But at the same time, I do strongly believe, and this is a religious belief for me, but it's also, it's backed scientifically that you are genuinely unique. There's no one in this world like you. There's no one with your same genes. There's certainly no one with your same circumstances. If you had an identical twin who shared all of your genetics and you grew up in the same house, you're still not the same person because you didn't occupy the same space. One of you slept on the top bunk, one of you slept on the bottom. One of you went on a little bit more exercise than the other. One of you, identical twins, they drift, they divert from each other. And that diversion carries on throughout their lives to where they're not the same person. They're not remotely the same person. And that's doubly, triply, quadruply true for all of us who don't even have the same genes as each other. You are a unique spark in the universe that never has existed before and never will exist again. And there's something about you, something about your constitution, something about your makeup, something about your circumstance, the collection of your genes and your circumstances and your experiences and your desires, some combination thereof will create something that can be put into this world that could not be put into this world by anybody else. And when I say that, I'm not saying that everyone should write a book or everyone should write a song or everyone should write poetry or everyone should do anything. I'm saying that your combination of attributes, just because they exist, there is definitely something. If you're willing to do the work, the soul searching, the introspection, and the fiddling, just the tinkering, just put that try something on your daily to-do list where just some whim, some impulse pops into your head, because that's how it'll start. That's how it'll start for you. You'll have some inclination that something that just tickles you just the right way that only you could do. Only you with your experiences and your background and your combination of talents and resources, and there's something about your life that only you could create. And you should find it. You should work hard to find it, and then you should do it. You should do it without fear, without any hesitation, because once you're gone, that thing will never be done. Period. It will be lost to future generations forever and ever because you were the only one who could do it. And I think I strongly believe that every single person has something like that inside of them. And I would urge you, find it. And then once you find it, chase it. Chase it like a dog chasing a car. And you may never catch it before your time is up, but you should still chase it, because in the chasing, you will become refined. You'll be a better person. You'll be a happier, more fulfilled person. And read this book, Do the Work by Steven Pressfield. It will help you. For me, like I said, it's a shot of adrenaline every time I read it, because it gives me that extra courage, that extra oomph to be like, yes, okay, I can do this. I do want to make sure that this is done before I die. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. I don't want to leave anything undone, anything on the table. And I think if every person took that attitude, we're like, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do the thing that nobody else but me can do. And I'm going to add it to this world. I think if everyone had that attitude, we would grow humanity would grow exponentially, basically overnight, because of all the great and interesting and wild and varied and unique things that are put into the world. And that's something that, not to be too techie or whatever, that's something that we need to be extra conscientious of as the advent and the rise of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is synthetic, meaning that it synthesizes existing information and ideas to create what seems to be new information and ideas, but it isn't actually. It's a synthesis of existing. Maybe it may be possible for AI to iterate beyond the bounds of what already exists by stumbling onto some combination that hasn't been thought of yet. But de novo, like from nothing creation, I think is always going to be the domain of humanity. And AI exists in cyberspace, and we exist in meat space, right? We exist here in the real world, and the things that we do in the real world matter and always will matter. And so, AI probably is coming for your job. I'm sorry to tell you, whatever it is that you do all day over and over and over again for a job, that's probably going to be automated away. It's coming for the job of the artists as well. It's coming for the jobs of the graphic designers. It's coming for the jobs of the lawyers, doctors, diagnosticians. It's AI is going to be better at those jobs pretty quick here, if not already. And so what remains to be seen is what our place in this world is. And I firmly believe that our place in this world would be in creating real things in real space. And so find your thing, find yourself, and don't stop. One last quote: resistance cannot be seen, touched, heard, or smelled, but it can be felt. We experience it as an energy field radiating from a work and potential. It is a repelling force. It's negative. Its aim is to shove us away, distract us, prevent us from doing it. The enemy is resistance. You got to overcome it. Gonna be there. It's gonna. I lied. Another quote. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatic. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning back in. I know it's been too long. I'm going to try to make sure that it's... I really appreciate the time that you spent with me here today. As always, if you need to get in touch with me, reach out to me at whatstomreading@gmail.com. I've still been keeping up on those emails, so I will get back to you if you reach out to me. If you have any suggestions, complaints, comments, corrections, anything like that you'd like to add, or suggestions for books that you'd like for me to read. Like I said, I'm keeping up. Get out there, keep reading, keep striving, keep doing good, and have a good day. You guys deserve it. Take it easy.